Hello and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 244 at scavengerlife.com.
Welcome to Trash Radio.
Trash Radio?
Trash Radio. It's just now just plain
it's just
trash.
W-Trash Radio.
Trash Shelf Radio. We hope you're photographing or listening or packing right now, being productive while we sit here by our warm wood stove.
Yes.
Thinking back on our week.
You were about to say, thinking back on our life, as if we're very old.
It is like our life. And if you've chosen to sell on eBay as your profession, you found the right people. That's what we do for a living.
Absolutely.
We sell on eBay.
Yes.
Okay, so, and we're all like little shopkeepers, just saying hi to each other on the digital high street,
digital avenue.
Right. We're all like sharing little tips and like glad the other is in business.
Yes.
Instead of like big corporations, which are just trying to move towards monopoly, trying to crush each other.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's serious.
Instead, we help each other.
I hope so.
I want people to make
not
money.
competition, camaraderie.
That's right. Not competition, camaraderie. Okay, so here's a tip we all figured out.
Yes.
I think, although now on the blog people are arguing about it, a UPS can pick up a FedEx Smart Post.
You said that wrong. USPS.
Oh, yeah.
See, Jay's like a shipping, like he's ignorant. He doesn't know like the difference. What UPS, USPS, FedEx, he doesn't know. Okay, so the thing about FedEx Smart Post, and we talked about it before, it's so boring for people who don't care about this stuff, but the thing about FedEx Smart Post, in all technicalities, you're supposed to give it to FedEx. They do all the ground transportation till the last mile, in quotes, and they give it to the post office to deliver it. That is the theory. Now, people are like, well, I just gave it to my postal person and they scanned it because there's a postal scan barcode there for parcel post. So why don't they just take it? And I found that works. For my carrier in my post office, they seem to not care. They'll scan it, they'll take it, whatever. It sounds like on the blog, some people said, my carrier and my post office said, absolutely not. You have to give it to FedEx. And it says different things on different websites concerning it. It's just like, I don't know the answer, except I know that my postal carrier does not care. She'll scan it. It's got the scan, whatever. Right. And, which is great for me.
And the only reason why any of this matters is because sometimes a FedEx Smart Post is cheaper than doing it through the post office.
Right.
But it seems like it's all the same, which is
you're like, I'm just giving it to the post office, but I'm paying FedEx.
And something else, a guy I talked to online, his name is Dave, he says that a USPS doesn't actually own any trucks or airplanes, so they don't actually move mail outside of state boundaries. So all mail, no matter what, is shipped on commercial or I guess trucks that they don't own. So it's really interesting, you know?
Yeah, I think they contract that stuff out, and like mail gets shipped through like Delta, and they might even ship through FedEx.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really interesting.
I mean, it just seems like all of these companies seem like they kind of all mix together in some way. They just have this matrix.
I don't know how it all works. It's very complicated.
I guess the only thing that matters is the price that you can get to mail a piece of item, and you just find the cheapest one and then just stick it in that hole, that matrix hole.
The matrix pipeline.
And then they figure it out.
Yeah. So that's our answer for that.
And then the other little, when we're out on the digital high street talking to other shopkeepers, we had some people email or frantically call us on our voicemail line, and they were like, we've heard that eBay is going to cancel a listing soon if you don't have a UPC code. All of your items will be canceled and taken off of eBay. And so the first thing I always say is, okay, take a breath.
Yeah.
Find the eBay link that explains that policy. Right. If there's going to be such an extreme policy where, eBay is going to take people's stuff down, it's going to be documented somewhere.
Right.
So before, if you hear it somewhere, first find that link.
Yeah. You know? So what I understand is if you have any listings that are new, listed as new, they're looking for UPC codes and MPN codes. That's something, manufacturer part number. And, you know, for us, a lot of things are vintage, new in package, and they don't have UPC codes.
Like 95% of our stuff.
Like most everything. So you want to say does not apply. You have to say that now. The issue is a lot of us have listings that we never had to do that before, so it's not in there. And like eBay just sent out an email where, and it's weird because you would think they would make it more urgent if it was urgent, where it says, you know, top tips on how to sell stuff better on eBay. And they give you a link to your number of items that don't have the UPC codes. They call them the required product identifiers, meaning if you don't have these, we're ending these listings. On my second store, my smaller store, I had 25. I went in last night, and the problem with bulk editing, it opens the bulk editor, but it doesn't let you just say, does not apply, put it on all of these, because it's like a listing specific information, because they're like, how could all your listings have the same UPC code? No, you have to do them one by one. So I had 25 in that, and I had 100 in our other store. Right. So I'm going through one by one and changing them.
And, you know, and so in our main store, we have almost 4,000 items. So we had 100 out of 4,000. And what I noticed was in that list, they basically flagged anything that said new or new in box.
Right.
That's the stuff.
It's the new.
All the stuff that's vintage in the title, they just assume, it's not going to have a UPC
No,
code.
it's not that they assume that. It's that your condition was used.
Right.
So they don't care about the UPC.
Gotcha.
So anything that you listed as new that didn't have a UPC or a does not apply, they're flagging those. The good thing about it is if they end your listings, you just relist them. Go in, fix them, relist them.
Right.
They're not deleting.
Right.
Like, they're not being like, there's no record of this listing. It's like, if they end it for some reason.
Right, but I think some of the fear that people were having when they're emailing us is, so if they have 500 vintage items,
right,
do they have to go through each one and say not available or whatever?
No. If you have anything in your store marked new that does not have a UPC code associated with it, you're going to have to put that in.
Got it.
You're not going to make up a UPC code. You're going to say does not apply.
And then from here on out, as we list, even if it's a vintage item, we'll either put the code or just say
does not apply.
Yeah, does not apply.
Exactly.
Okay.
If it's marked as new.
And why do you think eBay wants this?
Because they're competing with Amazon. And I have never, ever put a UPC. I never even thought about UPC codes. But now we know why that they're thinking about it. Because you go to a store and you open your Amazon app and you scan it and you say, this is half off on Amazon.
Right.
I'm not going to buy. They want people to scan stuff for eBay.
Yeah.
And if you don't have your UPC code, it's like your item doesn't exist for someone scanning.
Yeah.
That's why.
Okay.
That's the answer.
As a bunch of little shopkeepers, we just had a little meeting.
Exactly.
We helped each other out. And now we're going to talk about something else. So it's the depths of a winter right now.
The depths.
Depth.
It's freezing outside. It's like 10 degrees outside.
And I've said this before, and I say it in this summertime, that I live for this time. I love the winter. We're getting so much done because really nothing's distracting us, you know?
Yeah.
We don't travel for other jobs.
Right.
There's no flea markets to go to. There's no yard sales. Auctions are, not as common.
Yep.
I mean, it's great. So now everything that comes into our house right now is getting photographed and listed. And then I continue to work on our death piles. And I'm getting pretty deep into our death piles. Like, we're getting to kind of the edges of our death piles, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, we're almost done with those, thank God.
But, springtime is coming. So
yeah,
here it comes. Some people are happy when spring comes. I'm like,
You're like, there's so much work to be done.
Because then I'm just thinking, like, okay, we're sitting here at home, it's working. But there's like a flea market. There's like all these yard sales. We gotta go.
I know you're like that. But also, like, we have a lot of work on the farmhouse, you know? You gotta clean that thing all the time. So that last year, you know, that kept us from going. And our death piles, like you said, we had so much stuff to just get through.
What, in the wintertime? Or?
No, in the summer. Oh, yeah. I mean, you were really going through those. You're like, this stuff has to get done.
Okay, we're going to talk about some Amazon FBA. Now, because we are a scavenger. We are scavengers. We talk about all forms of scavenging.
Right, but look, people were saying, don't become an Amazon blog. We're not going to become an Amazon blog.
Which I don't know what that means. I guess it's just
well, you know, become the people who just talk about FBA. Right. But look, that's part of the business if that's what we're trying to do now.
Yeah.
So
we're just talking about scavenging in all its forms. You know, we've talked about FBA for a while now, just kind of questioning it, being skeptical, asking people questions, and so this is what we've learned. So, in the past 2 weeks, we've sent in a total of 431 items into the Amazon FBA warehouses.
That includes new in the box items and a lot of books.
Basically, we have listed very little on eBay the past couple of weeks.
Right.
And we've mainly just been kind of experimenting and just kind of seeing what this Amazon FBA thing is about.
So,
and these are all items that we had already had on hand.
Right.
So we were basically just going into either our eBay inventory or into its death piles and put stuff in we were going to do on eBay and just send it into Amazon
we
FBA.
We had so many books.
Right.
I mean, like bins and bins that we've been collecting.
So this week we sold 11 items for $205, which, you know, $20 an item. I mean, you know, it's not great, but that's what it is. We've sold $526 since we started. So 2 weeks.
Basically the beginning of the month.
You know, and that's pretty amazing if you think about it. I mean, we went from zero to $526 in 2 weeks. I mean, as soon as stuff was hitting the warehouse,
it was selling.
It's just like people say, pretty incredible.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. Like, the second one box got checked in, something sold.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa.
And so, you know, it's not like there's like, you know, 10 things selling in an hour for us. But, you know, like every day, one day it's this week is nothing sold, but we had something selling every day.
Yeah.
But, however, and the guy named Moot on the comments had talked about this. You got to really think about it like a pipeline. So our expenses were $257, and that's expenses on the items that sold, and a big part of it is the cost of mailing those boxes in.
Yeah, shipping boxes in, especially shipping books. Books are heavy, and they made me ship a shipment to California. That's across the country for me. I know that they have a media rate. I can see that the media rate is very cheap, depending on where it's going.
So it's Moot was trying to say is you got to think of Amazon and it's all these upfront costs.
Yes.
So these first items that sold have helped pay for getting all those items to the warehouses. Right. But once they're in the warehouses, then they'll all just start to sell and your profit will be it's better. So, you know, so far our net profit is about $145.
Right.
You know, after...
Which seems low, but at the same time, you're like, you know, you have to pay to ship everything there. So.
Yeah. I mean, so...
Which is so different than eBay.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, you know, it really is, you know, we talked about the eBay pipeline. I mean, the Amazon pipeline, it seems even more relevant, pertinent for that, you know, is mentality.
It's a pipeline.
You get it all in the warehouse, and then it just starts to sell and ship on its own, you know, without you having to do anything. So... I mean, like we said, we're trying to get up to 500 items, or sorry, 1,000 items. So we're soon, almost halfway there.
Like yesterday, we went shopping for books, and we bought about 50 books.
Right. I mean, let's talk about this. We have to think. We're at this point. We have to thank the multiple listeners over the past couple of years that have helped us understand how they do FBA as scavengers, you know?
It's not just retail arbitrage.
Right. Like, they've helped us understand that you can scavenge for Amazon like you scavenge for eBay, and that's what we're doing. We're buying stuff no more than a couple dollars.
Right. If you can get books for pennies.
And, instead of trying to buy 100 of the same item, which I can see would be really interesting and easier to do because you're just doing it once. But, you're still finding individual items.
Right.
You're just finding
one-of-a-kind individual items. And with books, you are finding vintage books. Right. That stuff is on Amazon.
I mean, we have become scan monkeys,
Yeah, it's funny.
I have my little phone out and I'm just scanning. Zip, 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 zip,
now,
zip.
Look, when we're shopping, we're doing both. Like, we went shopping yesterday at several stores.
Thrift stores.
Thrift stores. Regular thrift stores. Not at Target, not at Walmart. And it was kind of half and half. We had a bunch of stuff that was vintage, clothing, shoes, whatever. And then there was like new in-box stuff and books. We were scanning those.
Basically, the way we see it so far in our experiment is that FBA is the logic of FBA is opening up different parts of a thrift store that we normally kind of skipped over. Things like books. Like I would kind of look at books and try and grab ones that look really old or something. Yeah. But now we're going through with the scanner and we're like scanning books and like books that I would never look at once. Like I'm grabbing.
I'm looking at like some random like cookbook that I'm like, this looks like a nice cookbook. Maybe they don't, they haven't printed this in a few years and you're like, whoa, this cookbook's worth $50 on Amazon if you look at the numbers right.
Well, I mean, let's talk about this real quick. So Amazon versus eBay scavenging. So eBay scavenging, as we always do, and I love it. We'll always do it. Yeah. It's really about training our eye to identify the value of weird objects. Yes. You go into a place, it's not about labels. It's just about you're getting attracted to like inherent qualities of things, and so it's really about, and then once you buy that thing, it's about creating a context for that item, imagining the kind of buyer that's going to want to buy it, and setting a price for that buyer. So we're trying to find things that people think is garbage, picking it up and labeling it the title so it's attractive to like designers, so they're going to pay us top dollar for it.
Exactly.
So it's more about, and someone said this on the blog, it's more about being like a craftsman. Yeah. You're like an artist, kind of.
Yeah, you're curating.
Whereas on Amazon, it's really about the barcode. I mean, there's really no mystery. It's like Amazon, there's no mystery. Right. Like someone said, it's like an assembly line. I mean, it's all about the price. It's like a widget game. Like when we were at the books, I wasn't really looking at the titles of the books. I was just looking for barcodes, like and it's just like, what does the phone tell me? This book is worth, $20. This book is worth $8, Right. There's no inherent quality I'm looking for. It doesn't like demand my knowledge, really.
Yeah, but it feeds into the scavenger mentality and the recycling mentality in a way, because what you're trying to do, and we've talked to other booksellers, you're trying to find books that are worth more than $10. Although Jay was kind of saying, but if you had a bunch of $5 books that were small and light and, you can really send a bunch of those in. So there's all different ways to think about it. But I thought we found interesting books. If you look at the numbers right, if you're like, okay, there's only 2 other people that have this on FBA/Prime, someone's searching Prime and those are the higher prices, I'm going to get this book. Whereas this book is on Prime and there are 25 other people that have it up for $5.99, I'm not going to get that book.
Right.
Gone.
So how many books did we finally get?
It was about 50.
50. So, 50 books, if you sell a book on Amazon on FBA for, let's say, $10, you're really going to get only about $5 after shipping and fees and stuff like that. So even if you only got $5 a book, that's $250. We're going to spend like 3 hours it's processing these books and mailing them in. Yeah. I mean, that's not that bad.
It's not too bad.
$250 for 3 hours work, I mean.
Yeah, but the cool thing was we found a couple books, a couple new books. They were new and they were worth over $50.
Right.
So those are the gems that you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking like, what's the least amount? It seems the least amount. Yeah. It seems like $10 is the least amount.
The average.
That we're willing to do. And even at that, it still seems it's worth it.
But what I love about it is we get it out of the house. Right. It's great. You're like, just send it in. Okay.
So, we're not going to get too much more into it because then it does sound like an Amazon FBA podcast or whatever. But that's been our experience so far, is just that, Amazon is like a widget game. Like, it really doesn't matter what it is. It's just about the barcode. You're just scanning.
Yeah.
If the numbers make sense, you get it and you mail it in. But the good thing is that a lot of the kind of items that seem good for Amazon FBA are in the places we've always been going to.
Yeah, we just haven't been buying them.
And I don't know, I'm going to look forward to going to yard sales this summertime and springtime and see, people selling things in the box. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
What is interesting about FBA is when we ship in these boxes. I mean, we shipped in like 9 big boxes with only 300 items, and we spent about $200.
Yeah, to send it in.
Huge, heavy boxes. Yeah. And the prices are really good on the...
Oh, yeah, they have a massive discount. And then for books, they have, it seems like a media mail discount. There are so many things I'm learning, but one of them was I had all these books, and then I had one item that was like a regular item, not a book. And I put that in the same shipment, and it was like, oh, I didn't get the media discount for all those books because it was mixed.
The interesting thing about it is that and we've heard people talk about this, but now we're experiencing it, they make you split up a shipment into multiple boxes to send to different
warehouses.
Which I guess makes sense because they want to spread out their inventory across their warehouses. But it can be sometimes annoying. Like one time we mailed in 39 items, or 40 items, and only one item went to a single warehouse and all the others to another. So we had the cost of just sending one item.
Yeah, it was like $4 to send this one item. I'm like, this item's not even worth $10. So it's almost like you want to be like, don't make me send that in, you know? But for sake of experimentation, we're like, fine, we'll do it, you know?
It's like, we just do what they say right now, and we'll see what the numbers...
figure it out. And, printing all these barcodes and things, I was thinking about getting a thermal printer to do the labels and stuff. But when I was looking at and we use a Mac, so I was thinking of the Dymo 450, and I'm sure I'll get a million messages. This is how you use it. I looked up all these tutorials on YouTube about how people print their barcode labels with the 450, and every tutorial I saw was like, okay, you have to take a screenshot using the software and say that you want to print that label and then print 25 of those labels. But that doesn't make sense for us because everything we're printing is not in quantity. It's like, I need to use the 30 up labels. I can't be like doing screenshots for like 50 labels. I just need to be like, print these labels on my laser printer. So I'm trying to figure that out, what makes the most sense. The great thing about a thermal is that there's no ink, it can't rub off, it's pretty permanent. So if anybody has any advice on that, that's great.
I mean, are there thermal printers that are like bigger?
No.
So
it's all a label.
Like
it's like, it's a roll of labels. Right. It's like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm surprised that like Amazon doesn't have a thing where you can say just print these 30 labels.
And it prints it all in a row.
Right.
Maybe that's possible. Mm-hmm. If someone knows, like, if it's possible to be like, we have 50 items, print it out, do it all in a strip. But, if that's possible, great. If not, the laser printer works great.
Great. It's
been fine so far.
All right, so I did want to mention something about aversion therapy.
What does that mean? What is that? Go.
It's where you do something to teach yourself that it's a bad idea. That's going to be my definition of it. So, for instance, like we have these 4... So even after we send in all these books to FBA, it's out of our hair. I don't have to deal with them. We still have 4 big plastic bins of books that we decided are not good for Amazon that I'm saying I'm going to photograph and write descriptions.
They're more unique
for
books.
eBay.
Yeah.
And, and my question is, like, I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah, they're like, 4 bins.
I mean, there's a lot of books.
Yeah.
It might be 300 books. And
you think it's 300?
200 books.
Yeah. 500 It might be 150 books.
100 books. And, the question is, will it be worth it? And the only way to know is that if I spend, it can take me 2 weeks to photograph. I mean, the thing is, it's not just books. It's also like all these little pamphlets,
ephemera.
Yeah. And, and then it's to photograph them, write the descriptions. You'll have to list them. And then we'll see if any of them sell.
And we have to store them.
And so then it's like, okay, the next time I want to buy some books, I'll much better understand, like, is it going to be worth it for me to grab this book? Like,
that's not going on FBA.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, it's kind of like we just listed, I took photographs and you had listed 150 winter scarves 2 weeks ago. We haven't sold one scarf yet.
It's crazy. I'm like, it's freezing out. Why are no scarves
So
selling?
I'm like, are we ever going to buy scarves again? And these aren't priced all crazy. I mean, maybe if we made them $10, they would sell better, but then is it worth it?
It's not worth it.
I mean, so it's that thing that sometimes doing those death piles is good because it teaches me, like, I don't want to have to take pictures of that stuff again.
Right.
It's not exciting. It doesn't seem to sell well.
Right.
So
it's just,
aversion therapy.
Great. Love it. Let's get to our numbers.
Okay, let's do our numbers real quick. Our main eBay store, we made $2,165. However, there's going to be a caveat to this. So some people on the blog were saying how slow it's been.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's been super slow for us. The only reason why our number is that big is because we sold one item for $1,500.
And that was an art commission, so we only get half of that after fees.
So if you take out that big art sale, we only made $665.
That's
all week.
Crazy.
This might be one of our slowest weeks we've ever had. So that's crazy, And so if you then add in the half of the money we're going to get from that piece of art, we made about $1,400 in there. But, so it counts.
It does count. That was work.
That's what it is. But I just want to say it has been slow for us, too.
Yeah, that was an anomaly.
In our second store, we sold 16 items for $623.
Yay.
So we almost made as much in our second store as we did in our main store if you take out that piece of art.
Interesting.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, we made about $3,000 if you add it all up. And,
Yeah.
It's all good. And then Bonanza, we didn't sell anything. Amazon, we already talked about. And Etsy, it's like...
Etsy, what does Etsy... even talk about that. Yeah, delete that. Okay, let's talk about things we sold.
Yes.
So... that piece of artwork was a bronze sculpture bust of the head of Gandhi. I put it up for $3,500. I was like, I'm putting it up high. People send me offers. It's on commission. We have 3 of them, or we had 3 of them. And someone, within 2 hours, someone gave us an offer of $1,500, and we kind of went back and forth thinking about it, and we were like, let's get this thing out the door for $1,500. We only get half of that, but...
And, here's part of our story. We said we had 3 of them. Over the summertime, we tried to sell one of them on auction. We're like, it's done by an artist. It's really, it's a piece of bronze. Like, it's a beautiful piece of artwork.
It's a 30-pound piece of bronze.
And so we're like, we'll put it on auction. Of course people are going to bid on it.
Yeah,
so we started
amazing.
it off at $99. No one was bidding on it. I actually contacted the artist herself and be like, your piece of art is up online and no one's buying it. And she actually ended up buying it for $350.
She bought it back, basically.
It's such an example of just why I hate auctions.
Yeah.
It's like
$350.
So this time we were like, let's just put a high price on it.
Make
offer. And the artist herself, she didn't want to buy the other 2. She says that it would cost $6,000 to recast her thing in bronze.
Like to make it new right now.
But you know
these were made in the 90s.
But you know what? It doesn't matter. You know, I'm sure it would hurt her feelings if she heard this, but it's just like it all depends on the market.
There's no market for it. Like, I mean, okay, so anything that has to do with certain historical figures or whatever, there's a very small market for things like that. It's a collector's, market.
Well, I mean, just someone has to put the value on it. Like, oh, I'm willing to pay
$1,500,
$6,000. Yeah. So I think on this third one, this last one, I want to try and put $6,000.
We're gonna put it up high
with make.
We can sit on it longer and see what happens. But the thing is, it's a delicate item. I mean, bronze is heavy duty, but you really have to. I had to pack that thing, the box itself at the end weighed like 45 pounds. You got to ship it FedEx ground. You got to put insurance and signature on it. I mean, it's a whole stressful thing. But you know what? I was happy to get it out the door. It's on the way to this person, and that's good. This is a cool sale. This is all you. This sale, the wool sale.
Why, thank you.
So go for it. Let's move along here.
So we sold a lot of vintage wool.
It's latch hooking wool. So it's like about 2.5 inches long pieces of wool, all in like little containers.
And we sold a big bag of it for $84. It were unused, still in those little circular rolls.
Right.
And we were just at a bag sale, like at a thrift store, and they were just fill up a bag. And I found a little corner where someone had just dumped all of these little wool things. And I was like, let's get them.
Let's just put them in a bag.
And that's an example of where it's better just to sell a big lot of it than try and sell them individually.
Now, we had it listed for $96, and we took a best offer. And they're all 100% wool. I mean, it's not acrylic, whatever. So we took a best offer of $84, because that stuff is expensive. Like those kind of craft.
Sure.
So any kind of crafter who's really into that stuff.
Someone's going to latch hook their butt off.
Yeah, exactly. So that was a great sale.
Now, this week, interestingly, we sold 4 pairs of shoes, individual sales.
Just random.
Over the week. And it totaled to be $250.
Wow, I'm surprised.
And these are just random, just nice shoes that we just found at different thrift stores. And you just cannot beat the profit on good shoes. There's a pair of Ferragamos. There's a pair of...
Just like...
something to Murphy. Johnson & Murphy.
They haven't paid yet, but they will, I think.
But, if you can just find, nice... evening wear or something.
Yeah.
Work shoes. People will pay $50 to $100 for them.
Right, exactly. I mean, we found that to be true. I sold a Harry Potter backpack. Now, this was a Harry Potter backpack from the book. So it was 2001, before the movies were being made.
When it was still for real.
Yeah, for real. I was in college then, but a bunch of my friends were reading Harry Potter. So I know that there's a big Harry Potter following of people my age and younger. So I bought this backpack for $5 or less. It was on sale at a local thrift store, and I sold it for $50. It was new, unused, had the images from the book. So some fan bought it.
I would have totally skipped over that.
No, I just know because of my nerdy friends. So.
And we've actually been watching a show that just came on that's like...
The Magicians.
Yeah.
It's Harry Potter Goes to College. That's what this show is. Basically, I can see the people pitching it, and they're like, Harry Potter ended before he went to college. Let's do a grittier version in New York of an American kid.
I never read those books or got into the show, but this show's good.
And it's good. Like it. It's actually a fun show, so I'm enjoying it.
And then the last thing we'll talk about, we sold a beret.
A wool beret, vintage. It sold for $40. Look, Jay found this pile at this, essentially it was an estate sale.
About, a year and a half ago?
Yeah, it was about a year ago, and it was all the tam o' shanters. They look like berets, but they have a striped plaid pattern. And this beret and berets, so
probably about 30 of them.
It was so many of them, and I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And you know what? They've been selling for $40 each, nonstop.
That was when I was like, "I'm going all in." I think they were $2 each.
I think they were.
Maybe even less.
I think it was $15 for all of those. Right. I think she gave us a bundle price, so 50 cents each.
Yeah,
something like that.
A woman had been collecting them her whole life. She either passed away or moved out, and the family was cleaning out the house, and they're just like, take them. And
so we've been selling those like crazy. I wish I could find more of them, but they're really hard to find, and that's probably why we're selling them.
Customer issues.
Yes.
We sold an old tape player.
It was a dictaphone. You guys will see it in the video or saw it in the video. I forget which one.
And we had tested it, but the buyer got it and said that the speaker didn't work on it and wanted to return it, saying it was our fault. And you know what? We just gave an immediate refund. And Ryan said,
no more tape players.
I'm never selling these again.
And you know what? I should just go delete all the tape players we have, because
even the headphone,
Sony Walkman.
Yeah, the Sony Walkmans.
You know what? I'll leave them up. But the last 2 tape players I've sold, I had to refund the people fully because they did not work. Or
they don't work, or the person doesn't know how to use it right, or I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm really impressed by the
Steven Schultz.
Yeah, and the other scavengers out there that love to sell vintage electronics. And it's just amazing that they have the knowledge and the patience and the skill to find them, test them, pack them appropriately, ship them, and that they don't have more problems. I
mean, I won't buy them anymore. That's how it works.
And this is what happened to us when we were selling typewriters, like vintage typewriters. Those were good, but then if one key is sticky, people are like, I have to get this repaired. And you're like, this is a 60-year-old plus year-old typewriter. You are going to have to get it. So, there's definitely a market for these things. And so if you're into that thing and willing to stand behind the stuff you do, I guess for us, it's like we don't really have the patience for those kind of items. There's other things to get.
I just get to the point where I'm like, I don't want to deal with these anymore.
Right.
The end. That's the great thing about eBay. You just stop buying them.
Okay, real quick, I'm going to talk about customer issues. There's nothing to do with eBay.
You were the customer.
I'm the customer, and it's not about eBay. It's about a credit card.
Yes.
So we have a credit card.
Yeah.
It's actually an Amazon
rewards card.
So anything we buy on this thing, we get a certain number of points, and then we can use those points
to
buy things on Amazon. And it's great because we buy things for our rentals.
Yeah.
Cleaning supplies.
It's Chase Bank.
And it's like what people do. We try and put everything on this card. All of our food purchases, gas,
everything.
Anything we spend, we also buy our thrift store stuff.
Yeah.
And then we pay it off at the end of the month, and we don't have to pay any interest fees.
So we get the rewards points.
Right.
Like I've bought a bunch of stuff on Amazon basically for free.
And actually because of what Brian taught us from the blog, we actually pay our eBay fees
through it.
So, that's a big chunk of money.
Shipping fees.
Not shipping fees.
But your eBay end of the month, I just put it on the credit card.
And for us, that can be
$1,000.
Yeah. Over $1,000.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. We get, $100+ in free stuff on Amazon every month. But last month, I paid the credit card back, but I was being lazy, and I didn't pay $3. It was like, it was like $2,003. And when I did the transfer, I just said, I'll just transfer $2,000. It's a nice even number.
It's just funny to me that you did that because you've had a credit card for way longer than I've ever had a credit card. I just can't believe you didn't know what would happen because of that.
So anyway, when we got our next bill statement, they charged us interest for the past month as if I didn't pay anything.
Right.
I got charged interest on the entire amount. And then I started doing the, it's messaging back and forth.
With the customer service rep.
Customer service, and I'm getting a different customer service each time they answer a question. And basically, they have some rule. If you don't pay off the entire monthly amount,
the balance,
they charge you interest on the entire
thing.
amount. So they don't care that I paid $2,000 because I didn't pay off that $3. So I'm obviously upset. But what I did was I simply said, that seems like a weird rule. I didn't know about it. You can see that I tried to pay it all off. Will you do me a favor and give me a pass and refund my it's money?
It was $17.
Right. And she said, no problem.
So it was amazing because you're going back and forth and you're like, I cannot believe, because we were like, they charge us interest
right
on $3. It shouldn't be $17, and then you got out of them. No, we charge you interest on your entire balance last month, whatever. And you were just like, that's unacceptable. First of all, that is a horrible rule.
Right.
That's how credit cards make money. All those crazy, insane rules.
Right.
They gave you this formula, this super long equation of how they figured out the interest. And you, this is hilarious, said, okay, do the math for me. I want to see that equation written out and the math done for me. You're going to do the work because I just paid you $17 to do the work. And then finally you were just like, will you comp me on this? Because I'll never, ever do that again. And they did.
Yep. And you know, I only bring this up because number one is I wasn't getting crazy angry because, you know.
No, that's good.
It was only $17 and you know, now I know its rule. It seems crazy. But you know what? We do that for other things too. And we've talked about this. I do it. For our internet, we get a $20 a month discount just because we call once a year and say, can you give us a discount?
There's a reason behind the discount, though, because we live in an area where they call it broadband exhaust.
Right.
So the speeds they promise for what you're paying for, you'll never get those speeds.
Right.
So we say, because of this, that you guys are very clearly aware of, we want a discount. So on both houses, we get $20 off. So
right, but honestly, I think that's the reason we use. But I've read online other people do this too. Oh, you can just
call?
I mean, if you just call, they'll often just give you a discount. Even if you say, you know what, I've been thinking about changing from cable from DSL.
Will you do a discount?
If I stay, will you have a discount? And sometimes all it does is to ask. If you call a credit card, you can sometimes get your interest brought down, your interest rate brought down just by asking.
Yep,
you know?
Yep. I've had that happen for several things.
So digital scavengers.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Right.
Yep.
God, people are like, what podcast is this?
Yeah.
Okay, news. Someone sent us a link on the blog to, there's a new system for
resolution.
With
return resolution.
And supposedly it's movement that the new CEO, I guess, is trying to enable for buyers and people that sell things, so it's not as harsh for us.
Right, and part of that is there is a way to say that somebody had buyer's remorse, but they're saying that something's wrong with it, and there's a new way to fight that, or there will be.
Right.
Because I'm sure they've heard a lot of complaints where you're like, they said it didn't fit in the messages, and then they said it was a defect, so they didn't have to pay for shipping. And you're like, what? That's not fair.
So, I don't know. So I will link to it on the blog, but basically they're starting a pilot program, and they're testing it out now. It's with a small group of people.
Yeah.
There's a link where you can put in your ID.
To try the pilot.
And you know what? I just did that.
Yes, I did it earlier, so we might have just
got it. And then we'll see, how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's this morning I got up early and I did an interview with an accountant.
Yes, who specializes in online businesses.
A really nice guy named Mark. And so, I asked him all the questions that we always talk about on the blog. About doing cost of goods sold and, all this stuff. And why get a CPA versus not get a CPA. And we talked about all that stuff. So we're going to edit it and try and get it up soon.
For this week, yeah hopefully. Okay, so last week we were asking about the Amazon MSDS sheet. And let me tell you, we got about 75 people,
which we love,
who said, by the way, it's this. They called us, they texted us, they emailed us, they commented.
So it's good.
It was very thorough. Yes, we figured out what the sheet was called. And I found out I have to either ask the company, or I found some websites online where you have to get an account, but you can get the MSDS information free. So hopefully I can do that.
Someone and this is what was the best thing. Someone sent us a link on on Amazon's website that explains exactly what to do.
Right.
This is how you get the form. Once you get the form, this is how you give it to us. It's with the item,
right?
And we need to figure that out.
The crux of the matter is getting the form from the company. That's something I have to figure out how to do.
Right.
So that's just something that I'll do some research on.
Yep.
Other people have done it,
Yep.
so I'll do it too.
And something else we learned in the comments, and we've talked about this before, it's about putting videos on your eBay sales, your pages. And Dan said that he just posted a video on an item he had. I think it was a printer or a copier.
Yeah,
and Steve said something smart. He says, like, if an item moves or makes a noise, that's when he makes a video. And that's what we do,
Yeah. A lot of times if I'll have a vintage keyboard, I want to be like, look, it works. Here's the video.
A blender.
Or a blender or a sewing machine.
Right.
Not a tape player, apparently, since I'm stopping.
I mean, a video wouldn't really make sense for most items, because if it's just like a video where you turn it on and like it just sits there, there's no reason.
Yeah, stereo equipment, obviously, I should have done it for those tape players. I should have been like, it works.
Yeah.
So that you're like, it worked when I sent it to you. But
it's just not worth it when the item is like $40 or something.
Yeah, it's like, if it's $100, I'm gonna do it. Okay, what will your coming week be like, Jay?
I'll tell you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a choice of things to do.
Yeah.
I have a whole big bag of hats.
Oh, yes.
That I need to take pictures of. I mean, they seem to pile up pretty quickly.
Yeah, because we buy them a lot.
I have those books that I need to get through.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
I'm staring at artwork that we've been walking over.
Yeah, I mean, so we did well with that art. It's this week. I mean, that art saved our butts. Yeah. So, that hopefully is motivation to get through this other art. And the guy we're doing consignment for is hungry for us to get done.
Yeah,
and
so.
I get it, so that we got to do
Well,
that.
I'll be listing that stuff. I need to list some more artwork. I have 50 books piled up right next to me that need to get labeled and mailed to FBA. So that's going to be happening. It's all about listing.
Cool. So let's answer some questions that people have either emailed us or they have called our call line.
Yes, and the phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message. You can leave a comment or a question.
Can we call it our trash line?
Yeah, sure.
The trash
line.
Yeah. Hey, Jay and Ryan. Love your show. I had sent an email, but I'm not sure if I explained myself properly. And if you answered it, I can't find it. My question is, my husband and I want to travel. And I was looking back through your podcast, and I'm trying to figure out how we can get on the road and live, because we want to be down south for 2 months. So if you could just go through your process. Do you take the pictures, put it in a Google document, and put a description, and then mark the items and put them in a bin? I'm just trying to find out what your process is. Thanks again. Bye.
Okay, yeah, so I'm not sure where we are in this. We kind of emailed back and forth with this person, but it's a great question. So what we do is this. I take photos.
Yeah.
I give you the card, the digital...
The SD card.
SD card. And you put those photos on a server.
Right.
Right?
It's Dropbox.
And then I input the information into Google Docs, which is a free program.
That both of us have access to. Right. So I just open Google Docs and see all Jay's descriptions.
So I write a title, I write any defects,
Measurements.
It's measurements.
Weight.
So all that stuff is right there. So when we are not at home, we can be anywhere.
Right.
We could even not be on the planet Earth as long as we're connected to the internet.
Wow.
And we can list from there.
Yeah, so basically, Dropbox basically syncs to all your computers you want it to. So I'll edit photos and put it in the Dropbox folder. And then when I'm on my laptop, when we're away, I have all those photos of stuff that needs to be listed, plus the Google Docs, which is essentially just a text document. So I'll grab the text document and I'll say, okay, folder 147, these are the photos, this is the text document, I can just list from there. And that's how we do it. Yep. It's pretty simple. Before, we used to use paper notebooks, which was crazy.
Hi, guys. This is Tom from Bradenton, Florida. Thanks for all you do for us out there. We're listening to your recent podcast about your second store, the possibilities of a third, and the possibility of a plateau that you can reach. It seems to me your best test of that would be to open a third store and to take 1,000 of your longest sitting items in your flagship store and transfer them. If they sell at a much faster pace or at the same pace as a new store, then you've certainly proven something and disproven the possibility that it could be the items or the price of those items keeping them from moving. Just a suggestion. Thanks again for all you do.
So that's a great, I mean, that actually would be a real true experiment. You know, we've talked about this. We have our flagship store. We have 4,000 items in them. We started a second store because we started feeling like our sales were plateauing, and maybe it's because we have items that haven't sold, that have been in our store for a long time, and maybe it's pushing down our search terms. I mean, this week is a good example. Our second store that has 900 items sold almost as much as our first store.
As the 4,000 items store.
If we take out that big art sale.
Right.
So yeah, would it be possible to open up a third store and can you transfer items?
I have no idea how you would do that. If someone knows how to do that,
we will do that experiment if someone can.
It's possible.
Right. If someone can help us understand how to easily just kind of like take 1,000 items out of one store and import them into another easily, we would gladly try that. Because
I've never heard of that.
Because that would be an interesting experiment. What if we took our 1,000 of our oldest items, put it in a third store, and would the ranking be higher because it's like a fresher store?
Yeah, it's a good question. That's the experiment.
Yeah.
But how to do it? I guess you would export it in some format that eBay can read and then re-upload it.
Yeah.
And end them on one store.
It's got to be if someone's interested in helping us, it's got to be easy. It can't be
It cannot be relisting 1,000 items.
Well, I mean, I also don't want it to be like we have to sign up for some website and they'll do it for you. I don't know. I want it to be it's within eBay. I wonder if eBay has that functionality.
I don't know. I would think so, but I would love to know.
Yeah, this is Bill from Dr. 1242 in Indiana. I was just listening to your latest podcast and that lady about the nail polish. That is an MSDS sheet, and that is Material Safety Data Sheet. Gives all the pertinent information, why it is hazardous or flammable, etc. So that's the answer to that question. Thanks so much for all your help for me. Bye.
That's a good example. We got a lot of these kind of calls, and we really appreciate it. You know, it makes us feel good that we can ask a question like that, and knowledgeable people let us know.
Yes,
that makes our life easier.
Yeah, it really helped. So that was very helpful.
Hi guys, it's Eve. Bear with my stream of consciousness for a minute or two. First thing I wanted to mention to you guys is there's discussion about quote-unquote upping your game and things like that. And there's two things that I would personally recommend. The first thing is there was a item that you guys sold recently. It was like a class of 1936 or something. And one of the worries was that it's such a specific thing that it might not sell. Actually, those are exactly the type of things that sell and sell very well. People have emotional ties, and if they're looking for that particular thing, they will definitely pay whatever price you put on it if they can. So, if anything, that's exactly the sort of thing. That's one of the first things that I'm thinking about when I'm out looking for antiques and collectibles. The second thing is the perception that, well, we don't have that in our area. For example, I think I spoke to one of you. I can't remember who now because I'm female. I spoke to one of you about antique Chinese textiles, and if you saw them, grab them because you can do extremely well with them. Not just well, extremely well. And I was basically told, well, we're out here in, wherever. We don't see that sort of thing. That's the sort of perception that will kind of creates a situation where you're literally looking past things that are actually worth a great deal. Often, antique Chinese textiles, to the untrained eye, look like something else. They don't look very interesting unless you really look closely. And, that is one of the things that I would recommend. You're not that far from DC when you think of that. You're like maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours or so out. Anybody could have moved into that area after they retired, and they have a huge collection, and you're in a perfect situation to find that sort of thing, and no one really else is going to recognize it but you guys. So highly recommend that you think about getting rid of that perception and just focusing on things and assuming that, eventually, just by serendipity, you're going to find them. All right, guys, have a great week. Bye.
So number one is yes. Very specific, detailed items do sell. But I think selling well isn't the right term for it, because when I hear people say sell well, it means like sell quickly, and they sell like you put it up and like people are eating it up. I mean, we're talking about the kind of items where we'll find like a commemorative coin with like 50th anniversary of a very specific high school class. I mean, the number of people that buy that are very small. The good thing is when the right person comes along, they really want that item and they're willing to pay, $40 for something that might have cost us a quarter.
Right. And they're going to look for it on eBay.
Right. And this is just why it's called the long tail. I mean, for us, we found it just takes a long time to sell those kind of items.
Like I probably sat on that trivet for a year.
Right. And it was like one that was like 50th anniversary of like a bunch of guys that were on a submarine.
Yeah, it's just so random.
It just takes time.
It takes time.
Like, we talk about yearbooks, and we buy them, yearbooks. And other people buy them. But I think I would want to say that people shouldn't expect them to sell quickly because, buying a 1926 high school yearbook from the middle of Iowa, it's going to take a while for the right person to come along that wants that.
But we've had the experience that it does sell.
Right. And the whole thing about, like, saying that ancient Chinese textiles aren't where we are. I mean, maybe they are. Hey, if I see some nice textiles,
we buy them.
I'm grabbing it. So here's what we do. We don't close our eyes off to anything. I mean, if something looks interesting, we buy it. We're gonna grab it. I think, like, I was going through rags, big thing of rags, and I found what is it?
It's not a kimono. It's an obi. It's like the belt part of a kimono.
A Japanese silk thing.
It's from the 1800s.
It's 2 years ago. We can't sell it for
I can't sell it to save my life. It's gorgeous.
So if you want to email us, I'll send you the link to our eBay thing, and you can help us, educate us on how we could better, sell these things.
Exactly.
But anyway, thank you for your help.
Hello, Scavengers. This is JT, and I had a question about vacation. I have heard you say on your show before that you do not put your eBay account on vacation mode, and you keep your account open and just say that it's going to be 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever it may be, until you ship. Now, I understand that works for y'all because you're selling more unique type of items, but the things that I'm selling are a little more general. They're all media-related things like video games and books. So I'm wondering if I should do what you are doing, and I wonder if my customers might complain if I don't ship out right away, or if they would even be willing to wait 3 to 4 weeks. I am going on vacation for 4 weeks in a little bit. So for someone that sells more general items, what would you recommend? Should I close down my store for the month, or should I change my handling time, or put it on vacation mode? I'd be curious to hear your advice. Thank you very much for all you do.
That's a really good question, and I don't really know the answer. I think you just have to do the experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you say, we sell a lot of weirder kind of items, so they're a vintage or it's one of a kind. So when someone buys it and we say it's going to be a month before we ship it to you, 90% of people who buy these kind of things from us are like, all right, that's cool. I finally found the thing I want. I can't find it someplace else.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Right. But for video games, video games, media, CD, DVDs, you have a lot of competition, and that's correct. So, if you're like, you got to wait a month, it's like someone's going to say, I'll just buy it from the person who's, $2 more than you.
But, you can do the experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why it's so important to change your handling time, because that way when the person is looking through items, I mean, it says that the shipping is going to be a month from now. So if they buy it, it's on them. Now, we always message people just to remind them in case they don't see that. But the worst thing that happens is they say cancel my sale.
So, you definitely need to do an experiment and see if it works for you. It works for us. It might not work for everyone.
Yeah.
Hi, Jay. Hi, Ryan. This is Mark. I was wondering if you heard about eBay canceling listings that are good till canceled if you don't have the UPC or does not apply in place. And I have quite a few listings that are good till canceled, and most of my stuff is used, so I know I don't have any UPCs, but I don't know if I clicked on the does not apply. Could you tell me if you've heard that and how to get to bulk editing for I could add does not apply to any of my listings? Thanks a lot. Love your guys' show. Bye.
Okay, so, we did address this, and, it's weird. The thing that's weird about it to me about eBay is if they're really going to cancel listings that don't have UPCs, in like 2 days, why aren't they making a more urgent email?
Yeah. So I'm feeling maybe they aren't going to just outright cancel. I mean, I can't say that it's for sure, but I mean, it just doesn't seem like it would make sense. So the link that explains it all, I'll put on our blog, is basically the update that they gave us all in the fall
update.
Yeah, I mean, saying come mid-February, they're changing the defect policy. All of that stuff is in there, and one of those things is you have to update your UPC.
Item specific.
And like Ryan said, I mean, I can do it right now. If I go to our store and I click on active items, up top, there's a little box, and it tells us all these things that it suggests us to do. Update.
But one of them says required product identifiers.
Right.
Now that sounds pretty harsh. It's required, So you got to change those. But whether or not they're actually going to just end all those listings, it seems like they should have sent out a way more urgent.
Yeah. So
email.
I mean, unless someone can actually point to something on eBay that says, change this or we're canceling all these things, then I would think I would tone it all down and be a little calmer. Go into your active listings. It will tell you, add required product identifiers. It says we have 71.
Yeah, well, because I've done 30 already.
Got it.
So.
And then you can click on it and then just go through each one. So
right, and you have to go through each one. But you know what? That's just what's got to happen.
Yeah. Okay, that is it for our show today.
Why are you laughing?
Because a lot of emotions going on.
Yeah.
A lot of eBay emotions happening.
Drama.
You can check our blog at scavengerlife.com, and that's where all the links are that we've talked about, and you can also join in the conversation there.
If you have a question or a comment, as you heard, you can call our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
We post an episode every Sunday night or Monday morning. I mean, we basically spend our Saturday doing this. You know that?
Saturday and Sunday because I edit. Right. So, yeah.
And then Wednesday we post our What Sells videos. So you can actually see the things we talk about,
Yep.
You sold that for what?
I can't believe that sold. Me either.
Yeah. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or through YouTube. Those links are on our blog. And you can listen, if you're wanting more, you can listen to our other podcasts at shampooandbooze.com. And that's where we talk about our rental business.
Our Airbnb business.
And there's even more emotion going on over there.
Yeah.
Because anytime you're running your own businesses, there's always going to be some emotion happening. Okay. This podcast is ending in 3, 2, 1.
Bye.